Oh man, I don't got time to do this all day. Oh. Alright, 35 is the
Right.
Today we're going to be diving into how Chumlee became so successful with his money and became the richest person on Pawn Stars. Make sure to watch the whole video because this list will blow your mind. Chumlee may have come across as a bumbler at times, but he's legitimately funny and fans love him. He's a professional in his own right, and he has a working knowledge of the value of collectible items. He has several collections of his own, including vintage pinball machines and shoes. He also has some great haggling skills. He's an asset to the shop as well as for his own personal financial health. He's a lot sharper than he acts on the show. He's been with the show since it first aired in 2009. His pay is $25,000 per episode, and with his ability to wrangle the best deals on high-end terms, it's fair to say that he's made his fortune through the pawn shop, with some of the credit due to the fact that it's a part of a major reality television show. He has several talents, and he puts them all to very good use, making money for appearing on the show and on side deals where he usually makes a decent profit. So altogether, while he appears to be dumb on the show, we have to admit that Pawn Stars just would not be the same without Chumlee. And at the end of the day, he ends up making a lot of money just because of how unique and funny his character is. Although he is usually depicted as a comedic foil, Chumlee has demonstrated his competence a number of times on Pawn Stars. For instance, he has a profound knowledge on the workings behind pinball machines, something which he utilized in the episode Pinball Wizards during season 2, much to the surprise of Corey. After breaking into the show, Chumlee quickly became a fan favorite, and like mentioned earlier, he makes about $25,000 from each episode. This is more than the since 2009, it's easy to see how his earnings from the title has stacked up over the years. Assuming that Chumlee makes his $25,000 per episode, this equates to at least $625,000 per season, and this is on the low end. Looking at the past years, each season ranges anywhere from 25 to over 50 episodes. Naturally, he would have earned more during the longer seasons. What this really goes to show is that while Chumlee may be one way on the show, he's definitely learned over the years, and that equates to him being one of the most brilliant guys around because he makes money off of his character, Chumlee's car collection. Chumlee is definitely a collector, and he just happens to have impeccable taste and an eye for value in the vehicles that he adds to his personal collection. He once wheeled and cut an exceptional deal for a Maserati. The car was valued at $100,000, but he talked the dealer into giving it to him for a mere $85,000. This gave him an instant boost of $15,000, which he's good at doing. Chumlee also has in his collection a 1964 Impala SS, a Cadillac Escalade, a Range Rover, and a Rolls-Royce Phantom. The value of his car collection alone is over $1 million. From car sales to car ownings, Chumlee has made a lot of money off of car collecting over the years, and the best part for him is the fact that as long as Pawn Stars continues, and who knows when it'll stop, he'll get even more money to get even more cars. He's got the house for it, and when it comes right down to it, Chumlee will get what Chumlee will get, which is part of the problem for a certain owner of the gold and silver pawn shop. His name is Money. Now, if you're not familiar with Pawn Stars, you would be forgiven for thinking that Chumlee's real name is, well, Chumlee. After all, it's not the most outrageous name in the world. We've all heard of weirder ones, but in fact, his real name is Austin Lee Russell, which easily begs the question, how did he go from that to Chumlee? Well, you can blame his friend's dad, because when young Austin was 12, this dad made a joke about him, that he actually looked like a walrus from a TV show called Tennessee Tuxedo. The name of the walrus? Chumlee. Now, you might think that this was the start of a series of events that led to Chumlee eventually accepting his nickname after years of bullying, but actually, he kind of dug the nickname, which is something some of us can relate to, I'm sure. His friends seemed to think it was accurate, and after a few years, Chumlee became the name he actually used when introducing himself, and now the name Chumlee is known to anyone who has watched Pawn Stars. All of this just goes to show you that sometimes the most innocent of accidents or remarks can have a big impact on your life, and it's very fair to say that without his nickname, Chumlee wouldn't be who he is today. As for how this equates to his fame, it goes beyond the basics. Sure, Chumlee is now a household name, as long as you know who and what Pawn Stars is, but it's what you might call a marketable title. When it comes to celebrity, sometimes having a killer tagline or nickname makes all the difference, and for Chumlee, his name soon turned to gold, almost literally, so you can't deny that this is one nickname that literally broke the bank for him. He puts his name out there for his various businesses, and for products that he sells. More on that in a minute. It's quite a thing, and again, it's all because of his name, Chumlee. Many celebrities out there would kill for a name brand recognition like that. DJ Chumlee. We all have passions in our life, right? The things that we dream about doing, and yet we wonder if we can do them. Well, because of his fame and money, Chumlee has a lot more access than some people in terms of trying out new things. Due to that, he had the idea one day that he wanted to be a DJ. Now, I'm not condemning this. After all, Pawn Stars won't last forever, and Chumlee seems to realize that. And to his credit, he did take the necessary steps in order to make his dream come true. For example, he took the time to go to an actual DJ school. Yes, those do exist, and practice hard on the turntable in order to learn the skills necessary in order to do good, which is great. But that's when things turned weird. You see, for whatever reason, Chumlee realized that he could be even bigger than he thought because of his Pawn Stars fame, and thus he started to make some very outrageous demands to the people who were trying to bring him to their clubs and shows, and they were willing to do them. However, some real life issues quickly sucked the desire out of Chumlee, and he eventually bailed out on this dream despite investing a lot of time into it. Now, should he decide to ever go back to doing that, oh yeah, he could be even richer, and that would prove just how multi-talented he is, which he already thinks he is, but that's another topic entirely. The point is, he has done other ventures before, and so should he need to fall back on something, he technically has the ability to do so, even if people call him a lazy bum all the time. Controversy creates cash. Let's be honest with ourselves for a bit here, okay? When it comes to the Pawn Stars team, Chumlee is the least experienced of the set. In fact, he wasn't even a part of the team when the show started. He was brought on because he kept hanging around the store and got to know the team, and while his presence brings a lot of comedy to the proceedings, which is always appreciated in a real life show on TV, that doesn't mean that the other guys view him the same way that the audience does. Rick Harrison, the owner of the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, has not liked Chumlee for some time, and it's gotten to the point where he wants him fired. Multiple times, in fact. You see, Rick got into the pawn business because of his father, who sadly passed away somewhat recently, but he learned all he could from his father, and that's why he started this very successful business. Chumlee didn't. In fact, Rick only allowed him to be hired on because of his friendship with his son Corey. Chumlee's very presence is in many ways an insult to Rick because of how bad he is at his job at times. Again, it makes great television, but it doesn't make for a good business. He went from a one and done character to a fan favorite, and that has brought in many viewers. If Rick was to take action and fire him, a lot of fans would leave the show, and that would be disastrous to their business, their series, and a History Channel. But why does this benefit Chumlee? Simple. The TV show displayed Rick's distaste for Chumlee, and so Chumlee actually got viewed as a somewhat sympathetic character slash person. The more Rick hated on him, the more popular he got. And because history noticed this, they're not going to let one of their biggest stars go. So in a way, because of Rick's dislike for Chumlee and who he is, it actually made Chumlee a lot richer. Other television appearances.
I've brought you a potato chip. I've had it since I was 8 years old.
What do you think of that?
Oh, a potato chip.
Aside from being a star on Pawn Stars, Chumlee has also appeared in a variety of other programming. For instance, in 2010 he made a few appearances in the spin-off series American Restoration, which also ran on the History Channel. From there, he was eventually featured on Counting Cars, yet another spin-off, one that focused on Count's Customs, a vehicle restoration and customization company. Some of the other TV shows that he's been featured in include Top Gear USA in 2011, Live with Kelly and Michael 2012, iCarly 2012, Lip Service in 2013, and Katie again in 2013. The reality star also helped produce, edit, and direct the documentary short Driven Pawn Deals. As the show is revolved around pawning items at a pawn shop, Chumlee is known for making some good deals as well as bad deals. But at the end of the day, while he may seem like the person to make bad deals on items brought in, Chum has made some great deals, which helped him earn the money he makes today. Some examples are 1715 Spanish Fleet Gold Coin. First up, we have someone who never could have guessed the value of her item. Jody thought her gold coin, which she had inherited, might have some value. However, once the pawn shop appraised it at $18,000, she could not believe her luck. This coin was minted in Peru. Actually, it dated all the way back to 1715. Chumlee made a great deal on this coin and ended up making big profit on it as well. Totals. Let's play with some more numbers. Assuming that he makes an average of $625,000 per season, if we were to multiply this by 14, e.g. the current number of seasons, it would translate to well over $8 million. Even after taxes, this amount is nothing short of impressive, especially for a young 30-something-year-old, according to reports. In 2012, the reality star was said to have a fortune of $600,000, which is quite impressive really. A year later, Chumlee had broken the 1 million mark, and in 2014, his net worth was estimated to be close to $2.6 million. From there, it grew to $3.5 million in 2015, $4 million in 2016, before reaching what it is now, $5 million in 2019. Considering his popularity of Pawn Stars, which he stars in, it's likely that his gross income will only continue to increase. If the show's past success is of any indication, it will probably continue past the 14th season. Naturally, it wouldn't be surprising if Chumlee was to negotiate an even higher salary from the network. He owns a novelty shop. Okay, I've made fun of Chumlee a little here, and some of it might be deserved. However, like the old saying goes, a broken clock is right twice a day. And one of those times was when he realized that the show had made him so popular that he could be a brand. You know, like he could sell merchandise of himself and make profit off of it. Ironically, Chumlee wasn't just the first to think about this in regards to the Pawn Stars crew. He was the first to push it really far. He made shirts and novelty items based on himself and even opened a store to get it all sold. And it it worked. No, really, it did. He actually was doing really well and making a hefty amount of money doing it. But like the Chumlee he is, he eventually got tired of doing all the work. So what did he do? He pawned, pun intended, he pawned it off to someone else in return for money, pun intended. Specifically, Rick Harrison. Rick bought 50% ownership of Chumlee's novelty store and brand and actually put it in his pawn shop to sell. Guess what? Not only were they very popular in the pawn shop, but Rick was doing even better with sales than Chumlee did. Still though, let's give Chumlee props. He was able to turn something simple and novel into a lot of money, and he's going to be making that money for some time. If you're an eagle-eyed fan of the series, you'll notice that sometimes people walk into the gold and silver pawn shop and be wearing a Chumlee shirt. That is proof positive that his novelty shop was selling a lot of things. Chumlee is an avid shoe collector.
I think I'm gonna cop both of the Vans, different colors.
Okay.
When you have as many shoes as I do, you gotta be selective.
He is well known to his fans for his crazy sneaker collection, which fills up several rooms of his Las Vegas house. It's been profiled numerous times for its extensive selection and years worth of hard-to-find sneakers. He occasionally sells some of the sneakers in eBay auctions. He's also the chief appraiser when it comes to sneakers on Pawn Stars. Surprisingly, the sneaker market has a lot of potential, and sure enough, Chum has used this to his advantage to make more money on the side and became richer than many of the Pawn Stars. He's also actually an avid collector of them, and even noted on an episode of Pawn Stars that he has over 40 pairs of Air Jordans alone. But that's just the start of his collection. Inside his house, he actually has an entirely separate room that he uses in order to keep his shoe/sneaker collection. And it's not just Air Jordans that he collects. He has various other shoes from various brands. It just depends on what catches his eye. Given that he has over 200 pairs of shoes in his house, that's a lot of things catching his eye. But here's the catch. You might think that his Chumlee-ness would take over and make him not care for his shoes. But in fact, he actually makes sure that the shoes are taken care of. And while he does have many on display, he keeps many in their original boxes to maintain their quality. Usually when it comes to Chumlee, it's a case of he's as forgetful as he is clumsy. But in this case, he takes really good care of those shoes. And he's even given tours of his very big house in order to prove that he is someone who really loves these shoes and likes to see them maintained to the highest level. Hey, I guess we all have something to love, right? I guess for Chumlee, it's the shoes.